A very good evening to you. Thanks for joining us on the Friday edition of the show. It's the last one for the week. We promise to make it worth your while. You hear me? Adebayo. Well, tonight on the show, we will be talking about the Super Falcons and the final round of the qualifier for the Women's African Cup of Nations. We will also be talking about the English Premier League. We'll be looking at what is happening in the English Premier League. We'll also talk about football on the domestic scene. It doesn't get better than the Nigeria Premier Football League. We'll take a look at, as a matter of fact, the game was played today. We'll talk about that. Then, of course, we'll talk about, well, some have called it the rescue mission. Some have called it Mission Impossible. The quest to have the two Nigerian teams on the continent remain in the CAF Champions League. And it is a huge task. So we'll see what happens with that one. All right, it's a two-man show. My colleague, Osman Konakwan, is suited and ready as we go along on this ride.
Greetings to you, Yemi, and of course, everyone joining us on the show tonight. Always an action-packed world of sports, and you know me, I get pumped up on Fridays because it is taking us into a weekend of sporting action. The Super Falcons, I said it last night on this show with my big chest that, look, whenever they have an opportunity to represent the country, they do it with so much pride, dedication, commitment. And so today in Lome, that WAFCON qualifying game against Benin Republic, they took it like a training session. 2 first-half goals gave Nigeria a 2-0 win. We'll talk about that one. The return leg will be next week, Tuesday, in Abeokuta. I'm 110,000% sure that the Super Falcons will wrap it up with a big win for Coach Oworo Bankole and the Flamingos. They also need a big win, in fact, a very big win against Samoa to see if there's going to be any form of glimmer of hope to stay at the FIFA Under-17 World Cup. It's tough, Yemi, but hey, it is what it is. They must find a way to get that result. The Nigeria Premier Football League will be back. Big stories came out of match day 9. Cancun Califat, the giant killers, keep their fine form going. Can Nasarawa United bounce back? Will Shooting Stars do just enough to cut the lead of the solid Miners? Yemi, let's rock and roll.
All right, let's rock and roll, and hopefully our guests will join us even as we go on the show. But since Austin talked about it, let's start from there. Let's talk about the Super Falcons. He said he's 10,000% sure that the girls will qualify, and I agree with him on this. Let's just quickly, take a look at the screen and see Friday's results. Benin Republic against Nigeria, 2 goals from the Super Falcons of Nigeria, goals from Chiwendu Ihezuo and Esther Koronko, giving Nigeria victory in that one. And of course, the return leg will be played in Abeokuta, just like Austin said. And you can always be relaxed on the African continent when the Super Falcons are playing. I must admit, in the lead-up to the WAFCON that they just won early this year, they gave us some nervy moments, but most of the time they are very, very reliable and, of course, most successful national team on the continent of Africa. And pictures from Lome showing Super Falcons doing the job against their opponents from Benin Republic. Austin, I don't know. We can be forgiven if we say this is over as a contest.
You know, to an extent, you could see today in that game that the Beninois women's national team, they gave a bit of respect to the Super Falcons at the start of it. And that was when, they got punished. Second half, they said, okay, let's come out and see if we can play, if we can express ourselves. And I thought they were a bit decent. But look, when you wrap things up with the mentality that these ladies have representing Nigeria, it's easy peasy for them. So when they came back in the second half, I saw what they were trying to do. They were trying their wing plays. They were trying their running into spaces. They were, trying to beef up their possession play. And of course, I saw Ashley Plumpton doing all of those crosses that wasn't really connecting. But as I said, they already knew that it was already a job done, and they just needed to, have fun on the field and express themselves. So Nobody, absolutely nobody will come for you, Yemi, if you come out 110,000%, as I said, to say that this team will go on to beat Benin Republic in the second leg and qualify for the WAFCON. Unstoppable Super Falcons when it comes to women's football in Africa, proving over and over again that in their case, talents can just, go the distance for them. But we've also called on the Nigeria Football Federation, the National Sports Commission, that we need to do more, because if this was, let's say, South Africa, even Ghana or Morocco, the conversation that would dominate the media space, we'll start saying, what sort of preparation did they have?
Yeah.
And that's a valid question to ask. And every time this comes up, and the NFF seem to be doing nothing to address it, because they are certain that these girls will go out there and get the job done. But we need to do more. We need to show that we are intentional with the dominance that we want to have with women's football in Africa. That's what Morocco is doing. And they're already getting all of us talking. This investment they're enjoying was from 2020, and 5 years after, they have ruled almost everything you can think about. Their men's team went to the World Cup, reached the semifinals. The women's team qualified for the World Cup, back-to-back WAFCON final, under 20 world champions. Me, tell somebody in the NFF to wake up.
Yeah, I mean, you've spoken my mind. It's as if you read my notes. And look, when you talk about facing reality, it dampens things a little. And I think as stakeholders, even we as journalists, need to start doing our job and not be reactive sometimes. I'm not saying we do that all the time, because I like what you said. If it was Ghana, Cameroon, those other teams, we probably would have raised hell and screamed. But even some of us looked at this fixture as they will qualify. But the point is, we should be looking ahead. The problem with the Super Eagles is beginning to catch up with the Super Falcons. Because what is giving us an edge, it must be said, it's not the work we are doing. It's just because we have players that we could call up, players played professionally, and some probably switching allegiance to Nigeria, and that is the only reason why we are where we are today. Not because when you look at football in the overall, in terms of development, in terms of structure, we're doing nothing. It's absolutely zero. We have to be honest with ourselves. But sometimes we just need something to shake us up to reality, and most times is when a loss comes in. I thought after winning the WAFCON, we should have gone ahead to be preparing, not just to qualify, but to successfully defend the title. But that's not the case. We're just taking it one step at a time. When we get to that bridge, we'll cross it, which is a normal Nigerian approach. And I think it's really sad. I think we have people at the helm who just like to live in the now. It's sad, but that's the reality. People who just like to live in the now. And when you live in the now, you don't prepare. And we are relying on talent. Talent has gotten us to where we are, and there's a problem. You talked about Morocco. Everything that has happened to Morocco, none is a fluke.
Intentional.
Not one was a mistake. Not one was accidental. And you begin to ask yourself, when will our dear country begin to think like that? But I also think it's a reflection of our system, it's a reflection of our society. The point when people start getting to be made accountable, the point where you do something that is wrong and you're going to pay dearly for it, I think that's the point where things will change. But you have administrators who look like politicians. They know what to say when we are winning. They know what to say when they're losing. They know it's just for them to stand in front of us and say something and we'll forget it. I mean, some of them have even said that Nigerians have a short memory. It's really sad. But this is not to dampen the mood. The night belongs to the Super Falcons. They've done us proud, as they've always done. But we must also face reality and talk about what is happening. And that's just what we have done. I guess also we need to move on, because we can spend the whole day talking about what the administrators are not doing. But let's talk about, let's quickly bring in Rotimi Akindele. He joins us, he's in Lagos with us. He joins us on the show tonight. Greetings, Rotimi. Thanks for taking time out to be with us on the show tonight.
Thanks for having me. Good evening.
All right, I'm used to having you here sitting right next to us, but somehow it feels different tonight. But anyway, you heard us talking. I really don't want us to flog a dead horse, if I can put it that way. But I want to get your thoughts on the Super Falcons, not on the win, but on the general approach.
Well, I didn't think we were expecting anything too different, from what the Super Falcons had gone on to do today. Remember, like we always say, it's we dominate Africa, we rule Africa when it comes to women's football, and then Lome, Togo wouldn't give you the kind of facilities most of these ladies are used to, especially the ones that play, except for the ones that probably play on their home front. But then, in terms of the results, no surprises. Could have been more. We could have considered as well. I saw some clips from the game, but then overall, are we there yet with this? I know the argument is we're the #1 team in women's football on the continent, blah blah blah. But are we doing enough? Just like Austin said, the project in Morocco started years back. It's even over 5 years. I mean, so, and then you see the intentional approach by some of these other Africans, even the ones that are not at Nigeria's level, also trying to play catch up. So if we keep banking on all of these foreign-based players, what happens to our home front? Remember, we're even playing I think we're playing the league, or there's a particular thing we're playing with women's football, and then you have the national team also in assignment. So because we don't have that alignment just yet, we can't really talk about our development when it comes to women's football. So it's still that yo-yo thing you were doing. Yes, Nigeria will definitely qualify for AFCON. We can go there, play 1 or 2 games, and then find our way against the final. All the girls will get the credit for all their individual brilliance and quality. But then, as a body, as an organization, of course, we know we're stuck, and we can't seem to know how to get out of this.
All right, it's really sad, but hopefully we will be able to navigate and do the right thing. All right, let's talk about what some people have called Mission Impossible. And we started with 4, we are down to 2, and those 2 teams, talking about CAF club competitions, the CAF Champions League to be precise, they're on the ropes, especially Remo Stars. So let's talk about Remo Stars and, of course, Rivers United. Let me just quickly go across the screen to talk about the teams on the continent, and I'll yield the floor to Austin and Rotimi to talk about it. Rivers United, some feel this is redeemable. I don't know, up against Black Bulls of Mozambique. Black Bulls enjoy a 1-0 advantage, but of course, 1-0 advantage is like walking on thin ice. It could break. It's like biscuits. It could crack. It could go either way. So some say this is redeemable, and I agree. But Mamelodi Sundowns against Remo Stars. Remo Stars going all the way to South Africa to take on Mamelodi Sundowns with a 5-1 deficit. Don't call me a pessimist. I think this is just, it's curtains here. It's curtains. Let's just forget about it. Let them go honor the game. I don't see. But let me go to the guy who seems to be an incurable optimist, Austin. Start with the one that's a bit hard to crack, Mamelodi Sundowns and Remo Stars. Do you think it's curtains as well? And what do you think about Rivers United?
It's even beyond curtain close for Remo Stars. If it's a movie, everyone else is out of the cinema, But let them prove to me that in football it's not over until it is over. But it's going to be very, very difficult. But I love the spirit that they took to South Africa with them. I was monitoring the team's pages, and that's all they can do. Try to avoid another blowout result. Go out there and see if they can correct some of the mistakes that they made in the first leg. I think 5-1 is a very terrible result for champions of Nigeria. But then again, I said it's the proper call for reflection. That if our league football is not, properly, structured and positioned for results, then this will continue to happen. Just look at the free run. That's Mamelodi Sundowns players. Look, if the first guy had missed it, the second guy will score. So you can tell that it's a system that they've perfected. This is a winning team, you know. That's what we want with our football. Rotimi, I'll pass it on to you. That's the good thing about being a co-anchor. I'll let you go through the difficulty of analyzing a very difficult result. Red Stars, I'm sure there are lessons in it for them, you know. In what way can they apply those lessons from the first leg in the second leg?
No, if you don't become here.
Yeah, Rotimi.
Okay, because I missed the last part of your question.
So I was saying I'm glad you are the analyst on the show. I'm a co-anchor. So I'll leave the difficult part of the analysis to you. What are the lessons from the first leg that can work for Remo Stars in the second leg?
I don't think they're ready. And I don't think as a country we're ready as well for the continental engagement, as it were. Of course, I mean, I was particularly shocked, just to take out words from what you said earlier, that a Nigerian champion could go ahead or could go on to lose by that margin to South African team. And then I had a lot of reactions. Oh, what were you expecting? It's like Real Madrid playing a Cyprian side in the Champions League. So I'm like, is it that bad? Like Nigeria compared to, I mean, Remo Stars compared to South Africa is now to Mamelodi Sundowns is now like Real Madrid and maybe Omonia Nicosia or something, just because they have a better pedigree. I mean, it's pretty sad. I don't think there are any lessons to learn from that particular first leg defeat. I think they will go over to South Africa. If they can keep it decent, maybe don't lose by the same margin like the first leg loss. I think that will be what I will be looking out for. But then again, in terms of general play, general overview of what we saw last weekend, and probably what we're going to see this weekend as well, it goes to show that there's still a whole lot of things we're missing in our football. And it's not just, you can't limit the problem to just Nigerian football or Nigerian sports. I think it's a country thingy, if you permit me to use that word. If we fix our system in Nigeria, then probably the economy, you know, the business side of sports, everything can actually reflect.
You can't isolate the problem. So I agree.
We can't limit the problem to just, Nigerian champions and Nigerian football. I think it's a reflection of the country itself. Wherever we are heading to, I mean, I'm hoping it's still all positive. Then maybe we can start talking about the development in our game in the near future. But for now, whatever we see, let's just take. I don't think Remo would learn anything from that first leg. And I don't see them doing anything surprising or magical in the return leg.
I agree. I totally agree with you. Let's talk about Rivers United Black Bulls. You know, there's a lot of hope in that one, but I agree with Yemi that a 1-0 result is not a result in this sort of competition. You know, but you confident Rivers United can do just enough to win that one?
I think they will. I think they will win. Of course, talking about Rivers United, if it's going to be enough, the question is, can they keep it tight and not concede? That's the question. Because even if you go on to win by 2-1, that means Black Bulls will still go ahead. Because I think that away goals rule rather is still in effect for this particular competition. So the question for me is, can Rivers United score away from home? Remember that they can't even play in their own ground. They're playing in Uyo Akwa Ibom, which is another big problem for us. Exactly. So can they go on to win that game without conceding? Maybe that will be the advantage Rivers United have going into this particular one. I said it last week before the first leg, somewhere else on the show, and I said I think they will struggle in Mozambique, but I'm pretty confident that when they come back to Nigeria, they can turn things around. Rivers United as well. Remember, they've actually not scored much goals in this competition. Remember in the first round that they played, they only scored one and managed to go on to the next round. So hopefully they can pick up, maybe that drive of let us have a Nigerian team in the group phase for the first time. Score like 2-3 goals. Just take a cue from what the Super Eagles did some few weeks ago, some few days ago.
Oh, please.
And then go on to win.
Please. That's Super Eagles thing. That's Super Eagles thing. The god of football just came down to say, these people, they've suffered so much. One hand with Bible, the other hand with calculator. Rivers United, go out there and get your destiny in your hands. You know, you need to score goals. You need to prove a point that you want to stay in this competition.
That's the word.
We will analyze Nigerian sports without putting hopefully. Post tonight on Channels Television. Let's go on this quick break. When we come back, match day 10 of the Nigeria Premier Football League will get our attention. Don't go anywhere. Stay. Welcome back, Sports Tonight, on your award-winning, sports-loving Channels Television. We're just talking about the CAF Champions League, you know. Rivers United, they have a big game against Black Bulls of Maputo. Can they actually win that one and get into the group stage of the competition? For Remo Stars, not me. Yemi said it's curtains closed. You know, Rotimi Akindele agreed. I really think it's over. What do you think? Let's talk about that one. But Yemi, I think we've said enough about Rivers United and Black Bull, and I'm sure they understand the assignment. Let's just get into the league that produces this team for us, because that is where we will understand where we're going. So each time we talk about this league and persons just don't understand. For instance, South Africa, Bafana team. Look, South Africa as a country will ensure that Mamelodi Sundowns thing that came to Abeokuta, because that's the bulk of their national team, Yemi.
Yeah, they will. And I mean, it shows the progression that they've made. The whipping boys have not turned to rivals. You know, 3-4 years ago, you will argue with anybody that calls South Africa our rivals, but you have to face reality now. It is what it is. We find it very difficult to beat them these days, all because of what they've done to their domestic league, not even because of talent. All right, let's talk about our own domestic league. I'm going to go across now and talk about it. I disagree with those who say there's no quality in the league. The problem is the structure and the way we do our things in this country, which makes the best players leave after playing just 1 or 2 seasons and go to Kazakhstan and Uzbekistan. All right, let me just quickly go across and we'll talk about these things. Friday's result, match day 10, Katsina United beat El Kanemi Warriors by a lone goal. That's a game played today. We'll talk about this. The guys will talk about it. A lone goal, Katsina United. All right, let's talk about the matches to be played on Saturday and on Sunday. Tomorrow, Saturday, Kano Pillars will take on Niger Tornadoes. That's going to be a very interesting game. Then on Sunday, where most of the matches will be played, Abia Warriors will take on Baral FC. Rangers International will take on Kwara United. Kun Khalifat, I want to see if those recent results will continue, those good results. Kun Khalifat will take on Bendel Insurance, the Benin Arsenal. Plateau United will take on Eyimba. I think this is a standout fixture for me. Warri Wolves will take on Bayelsa United. And of course, Wiki Torres will take on a somewhat rejuvenated Shooting Stars. So we'll see what happens with that one. Let me just quickly go to Rotimi. Just look at this for us and give us your thoughts on what you think could happen. Probably pick a game or two to tell us the ones where you think we will see maybe an amazing result.
Well, I think we'll pick it up from the Kun Khalifa game. So I think they played the first one on most of us at the start of the season when they said they were looking for funds to play in the league. Somehow it looks like the funds have appeared and the teams appeared pretty settled. I think they'll get one over Bendel Insurance. They've been consistent. I mean, in the last couple of weeks, it's still early days, but then they've shown signs that maybe they want to stay in the top flight at least for a bit. So I'm looking forward to that game. Kun Khalifa up against Bendel Insurance should be an exciting one. Shooting Stars as well jumps at you. In the last 4 or 5, they get to lose. So, I mean, the last time they visited Wiki Torres was in 2022 when Wiki Torres were in the top flight and they got a draw. So I think that game ended 1-1. So I feel going into this particular fixture, based on the form they currently are on, they might actually get something from this game away in Bauchi. Plateau United Eyimba looks like the big game on paper, but then you can't tell the Eguma side that will travel to Jos and play this one. Remember, Eyimba lost their last home game in the league as well. So it's really, how will I put it? It's not, you can't put all your monies or beat your chest that Eyimba will probably prove to be an elephant when they go to Jos in this particular one. So I'm expecting Plateau United to actually pick something from that particular encounter. Those are the games that jumps at me. But then we keep an eye on Bayelsa United. They've been given a 2-match ultimatum. Can they get something away in Warri? Well, fingers crossed. I won't put all my monies on that, considering the fact that Warri Wolves actually went to Aba last week and got all 3 points.
Big win. Yeah, totally agree. Big win for Warri Wolves on March day 9, going to Eimba, and then showed good character. And that's why I'm not going to agree with you, Plateau United, Eimba, because if Eimba don't win that game or pick a point, it will mean 3 losses in a row. Remember?
They're just like one team in England. It won't be a surprise.
Remember they lost to Kun Khalifat in Owerri. By the way, Kun Khalifat, I think they did a good thing returning to Owerri. That kind of, brought out a different beast in them. Back-to-back wins, very important wins, particularly the win at Bayelsa United. I didn't see that coming. It was a spirited fight when all the way did it. So I'm trying to see if Eimba can pick themselves back up. They need to prove to me, the people's elephants, can they bounce back against Plateau United, who, by the way, the Peace Boys suffered their biggest defeat this season. Niger Tornadoes hammered them 4-0 on March day 9. So they will need to pick themselves back up at the New Just Stadium. That makes the game very tough for Eimba. Let's see what that one will give us. Warri Wolves, Bayelsa United should also really get us talking. Warri Wolves, I think, went away, picked a point. Bayelsa went away to win, and then Bayelsa United lost at home. So now those two teams, will see who will balance it out. Warri Wolves consolidate on that very important win. We'll see. Kun Khalifat Bendel Insurance. Kun Khalifat, they have found a way now to get us talking. And I like it because this is what we want for those small teams, those privately owned teams, those teams that seem to have a bit of structure, system, these sort of things. We push them to do more, to go out there, put some funding into the team, put some level of professionalism into their play. So let's see what that would be. Rangers, Kwara United. Kwara United had to dig deep, to beat Katsina United in Ilorin. What a stunner of a goal by Yahaya. What can they do in Enugu? Now, the cathedral, Yemi and Rotimi, these days, people just go there and they urinate without people calling them to pay for fines, So I just don't know what Rangers will do about this one. They need to prove a point, And I think a big northern derby is that one between Katsina United and El Kanemi Warriors. Should really get us talking. The Changi boys, they're actually playing good football. Shooting Stars need to show us that this fire that is burning is not temporary. Can they go to Bauchi and do something against Wikitori? I thought they were very decent against Kano Pillars. That's why I hate what happened with that crowd violence, because it would have been good to see them do something away from home. And now Kano Pillars, they are suffering it. They couldn't beat Bara FC in their last game. So let's see what match day 10 will give us. We're getting close to the point where we'll start feeling the fever. Match day 10, we'll come back next week to talk about the results. Yeah,
sure. All right, but let's start with you, Austin. A game currently going on, West Ham and Leeds. Want to see maybe Nuno Espirito Santo will work his magic with West Ham. But what's the situation report? Be our eyes and ears in that game. Leeds, by the time I came into the studio, Leeds were up by 2 goals. But West Ham were putting up a fight, so.
They're still doing that. Leeds took a 2-0 lead into the break, early goal. I'm sure you saw it around scene with the 3rd minute, and in the 15th minute, they doubled that lead. Leeds United really need to win this game, because if they do, they get out of the relegation spot. Big problem for Nuno, because West Ham really need to start winning. They're bottom of the table, and with what I'm seeing, the game right in front of me, Leeds wants to see if they can score one more goal. The game is in the 60th minute now, and it's still Leeds United 2, West Ham 0.
All right, let's talk about the English Premier League. That's our next spot of call. We're going to England without taking a flight. That's what we're going to do, the 3 of us. The 2 of us will go join Austin.
Austin is there.
So the 2 of us will go join Austin there. All right. So let me just quickly go across.
Let's join in.
And talk about this fixtures. Chelsea against Sunderland, Newcastle United up against Fulham, Manchester United against Brighton. I really wish we have time. I want to talk about Manchester United. Some are already saying they've turned the corner. I don't know. All right. Brentford will take on Liverpool. These are the games for Saturday. Let's go to Sunday and talk about the games on Sunday. Bournemouth will take on Nottingham Forest. Arsenal will take on Crystal Palace. Aston Villa up against Manchester City. And, of course, Wolverhampton Wanderers will take on Burnley. Everton will take on Tottenham. All right. So these are the fixtures. And, of course, before we listen to Rotimi talk about whether or not Manchester United have turned the corner, because I see a lot of United fans say, look, we're back. We have a new goalkeeper. We have some guys who are scoring goals. Okay, we'll see. All right, but first, let's listen to the Chelsea manager, Enzo Maresca. He's been talking about his team. And you know, of course, Chelsea will be up against Sunderland. Some are already saying there's 3 points in the bag. Let's see what Enzo Maresca thinks about what that fixture will bring.
Yeah, we don't have any new injury. Liam took part of the session yesterday with the team for the first time, so it's not going to be available for tomorrow game, but probably for the next one. Well, the schedule also can change a little bit, depends how they improve or getting worse. In the first time they said to me that could be available for the 25th of October. So today is 24th, 25th. So I think they show since the season start that they are a very good team. They play together, they work together, they play as a team. Also in terms of results, they have the same points than us, so they are showing how good they are doing since they start. And again, it's Premier League game. I don't think there is any game that can be easy. They are all difficult games. The target with the players since day one is try to work hard every day, try to improve yourself. That is the only way to try to achieve something important. Last season we achieved Conference League, Club World Cup, a top 4. That I think no one of you in this room at the beginning of the season expect that, and so it was very important. And this season, when we started the season, was exactly the same. Try to work hard, improve yourself, try to understand how we can do things better day by day, and then at the end of the season we see.
All right, Enzo Maresca there. Rotimi, we'll get to talk about United later, but I just want to get your thoughts on this, and of course Austin will have a say as well. Do you consider Chelsea to be a contender this season? And if you don't, do you think that the Chelsea project is still on course?
Well, I think the project is still on course. But then you look at Chelsea as a whole. Do they have the patience to actually see out the effectiveness of this particular project they are on? That's the big question. If the results... remember, Maresca should have been out of this job. Somehow they decided to keep him, and then they went on to win the Club World Cup. There were signs about not utilizing what he has well at the start of this season when they dropped points in some games, and now they seem to have picked up again. So it is that consistency for me, especially from the hierarchy or the club management, that will determine if their project is still sailing well and probably would end well. But then I think Chelsea looks the part of being contenders. Why not? They're world champions at the club level, so they should be in the say, of course, in terms of the EPL title, especially with the fact that you have a Liverpool side who have probably not won in the last 4 in the league, and then you have a Man City who is trying to bounce back after losing out of the Championship title. I think. And then you have a steady Arsenal who's got the most interesting squad in terms of depth and in terms of quality, as it were. So Chelsea should be in the mix, especially with the tag of being world champions. So I think they are contenders, but I don't know if they'll be patient enough to see out this project they've embarked on.
Yeah, but I think it actually paid off for Chelsea staying with Maresca. I had a chance to have a brief chat with him right after their match against Arsenal last season, the one at Stamford Bridge that ended 1-1. And this guy has got good vision for the team. There's just something about these big clubs, and the coach is not just getting the result, boom, he wants coach out. No, it takes some planning, Whatever Arsenal is doing with Mikel Arteta might just look like the right thing, because if they are, probably chased Mikel two seasons ago, Yes, they won't finish second, back to back to back, but they might bring somebody who will now finish seventh, and then they will say they are building, where you could have just stayed with the guy who has something going. And Mikel Arteta has been talking about whatever we've been calling them right here in England. Some say they are now set piece FC. Others are saying that they are dubious without they take the set piece and score goals. But Mikel Arteta doesn't care. They have a big game against Crystal Palace, and he's saying, look, everything we're doing now should have been hatched 10 years ago because it's a long-term plan. Let's listen to Mikel Arteta.
Yeah, we want that this kind of records that we are getting a lot at the end brings the silverware and the trophies that we want. But obviously, the more we can produce, I think the closer we're going to be to achieve what we want to do. And that defensive record is very good, but we need to be consistent. It's only just the start of the season, and the aim is to continue improving things, which we can do still, a lot of them to even better. It's a big game for us because last season here we dropped some points, and it's the fourth game in a row that we're going to play against opponents that we drop points, and this season we've been able to beat them. So we focuses on that. We know that for Eps it's going to be a very special match with the history and what he did for Palace. But the focus is on the team. Well, if we want a very different outcome, we better do very different things that we did last year, especially against these fixtures. So we know what Palace are doing, what Oliver has done for the football club, and the way they are getting results. So it's going to be a really tough match. But we're going to play again in front of our crowd, and we are confident if we hit our level, we have a big chance to win it with work. First of all, creating the culture, giving to that part of the game the importance that it has, understanding that again football is evolving and the opponents are behaving against us, that we have to maximize certain things that happen very frequently. So something that happens very frequently better has a lot of value to us, so trying to maximize that and be effective. 10 years ago I said, I think it has to be, I wasn't here, but 10 years ago I said it's a massive thing to do that, and I started to have a vision and try to implement a method and try to be surrounded by the best people to deliver that.
All right, Mikel Arteta saying a lot of things should have happened 10 years ago at Arsenal. So we'll see what happens with that. Rotimi, let me come to you. Just a few comments on what Arteta said. He's been playing it cool, but a lot of people don't want to let him get by playing it cool, because they're letting him know you seem to have the best squad in the league, the most, just all the things that you've said. And anything short of winning the title is not a pass mark. So do you think the owners see it that way? Because that's the way the fans see it. Do you think the owners see it that way? And if you do you think that's the right call?
Well, I think it's a fair call, to be honest. I mean, Austin mentioned about the longevity of Arteta, or let's say the number of years he spent so far at Arsenal, and the fact that they left him even when things were not going well, and the fact that he's been consistent somewhat, especially trying to chase that title in the last 3 seasons. So with all the buys, with all the transfers, I mean, this was one season that Arsenal have been practically intentional and very deliberate. I think it's because they feel this is the time for us to win this title or win back this title as in 2004. So I feel anything short of winning the Premier League title now as it is would be a failure. If you look at the contenders, really, apart from an experienced Pep Guardiola with Man City, Slot is still a new manager. Yes, had that fairy tale run that led to the title with Liverpool last season, and his first season is finding it difficult to repeat same this season. Chelsea are in the mix, like I mentioned earlier. The other team, Spurs or Bournemouth, wouldn't probably worry Arsenal that much. So I think it's all about winning the title for Arteta, or else to be tagged as failure. I don't think it's all about the Champions League yet. If he goes on to win the Champions League, maybe that's a plus, and maybe they can overlook the Premier League title. But I feel there's a particular need or push or intent to win the Premier League title. And that's why Arsenal can boast of the squad they have currently. So there are no excuses. You have players, whether there's an injury or not, you've got players that can easily come in and fit in and get the job done. And I think they're on track. So it's
my dear,
I mean, so,
my dear brother.
Austin, let me throw this at you quickly. I know you're going to take it from here, but as a follow-up to that question I asked Rotimi, and with the conversation we're having in the football ecosystem, should not winning the title cost Mikel Arteta his job?
It will. That's the conversation. That's why I wanted to jump in. You know, every day I hear Mikel Arteta in the media. I hear ex-players, board members, fans. Everyone is saying with the sort of money, with the sort of attention Arsenal has given to Mikel Arteta, he has no excuse. If he wakes up on a difficult day and says there's malaria, they expect him to ride away, shake it off, and go and win a football match, because that's what they expect from now, you know. And I've put this Crystal Palace game as one of the real tests for Mikel Arteta. If you check in the last 3 seasons, there just some small teams that we shake Arsenal, and then right after that loss, things will start going wrong. But they have made it clear. Everyone has said it, that if with the squad depth that he has now, with the type of attacking play they are having, Arsenal has no reason not to win a minimum of 2 trophies this season. If be it Carling Cup or FA Cup, or Premier League or FA Cup, Champions League, or somebody just saying that with all the monies invested in this, because it's just like a bride who is saying to the husband, I want this, they say take. They want this, you say take. Now it's your turn to perform. You now want to start giving excuses. It's not going to happen. If Mikel Arteta isn't winning this season, then this is his last season at Arsenal. That's it. Pep Guardiola is another manager that is a bit of fire, but he's handling it so well. And these days, he has good words for his critics. Listen. Okay. I think we'll come back. We'll come back to that Pep Guardiola because they also have a very critical game coming up. But Rotimi, before I let you go, let's go back to that conversation, the Nigeria Premier Football League. Record straightened. That game, Nasarawa United El Kanemi has been done. Update.
Katsina United.
Katsina United El Kanemi.
Yeah, 1-0. Finished 1-0 in favor of Katsina United. So El Kanemi, we always know them not to be good travelers. Looks like it's continuing again. I felt today, because they're playing within the same region, maybe they might get a draw, but it didn't happen. So it's 3 points for Katsina. That has probably pushed them up a bit from the relegation zone. It's too early to talk about relegation zone. Enugu Rangers are currently 20th, but then that's the reality.
Sounds good. 5th win of the season for Katsina United. I think 4th defeat for El Kanemi Warriors. Rotimi, I must say thank you so much for joining us on the show tonight. Let's do this again.
Thank you very much.
Okay,
thank you very much.
Rotimi Akindele, speaking to us right from in Lagos. So, Yemi, I don't know if you want to land on that, Mikel Arteta, because I know there's a bit of interest from you with that question. If he's not winning this season, it's all over, sadly.
Instead, I'll like to listen to Pep Guardiola. I mean, he's hitting back at his critics. Let's just listen to him as we wrap this up on the show.
They were much better than us, and the last 2 fixtures we play in Villa Park, so no chance. They were much better than us, and hopefully it will be different next Sunday. No need to talk. The admiration I have for Unai is so high. Is incredibly consistent and well prepared and so smart, so it's really good. Aston Villa, I know they are not in the Champions League that season for 1 point, or for, I think the last 9 games, won 8 and lose the last one against in Old Trafford. So for me, it's a team of Champions League. Last season Champions League created a lot of problems. After was the champion of the Champions League, PSG. So well organized and quality. And have everything. One of the toughest away games we have in the season. It's really good on set pieces also, and after that I had the feeling that improved a lot in the last years in terms of the build-up, and I think with the keeper that they have an incredible build-up. It's so difficult to control the pressing, and
They bring a lot of players in the middle. The connections between them is really good. Two of the midfielders connect really, really good with the break the lines. With all the structures, always break the lines inside, outside. And when that's happened, they are so quick in the trans. Attacking quick with the speed that they have up front. A part of that, the transition, the physicality. It's a really, really complete team. Doesn't matter with the pre-seasons and the seasons always. Sometimes you start a little bit slowly in terms of results, but look, the last results in the Premier League have been really good.
Pep Guardiola, I didn't hear him say what I wanted to hear him say, but of course, try to deceive us, praising the other man. That's what he always does, praising the other team. He comes to your stadium and wipes you off. But it looks a bit more relaxed now. It looks relieved. It seems all the pressure and the hangover is over. And who knows? And they are back in contention, it must be said.
That's why it's calm. They are second on the log with 16 points. But he understands that game against Aston Villa will be a very difficult one. In the last 3 seasons, it has been, And if you check their form, until Aston Villa slipped in Europe, I think they had four wins out of 5. Pep also has 4 wins out of 5 and just 1 draw. So both sides are on good form, and they're going right here at Villa Park. So Pep understands that it is going to be a very difficult game. So, but that confidence is needed, and clapping back at critics sometimes might just work for you, because that's the psychological play that will get into the minds of the players. That's the show in London. I'm Austin Okonakpan. In everything you do, remember, keep talking sports. Bye for now.
It's a wrap here in Lagos. We thank you for allowing us to be a part of your week from Tuesday to Friday. Enjoy your weekend. You see us again next week. I'm Yemi Adebayo. Bye-bye now.